Hi guys. So welcome to our August discussion. Wow, that was hard. Um, I'm Ebony. My channel is Butterflies on My Bookshelf,
I'm Anne, and I'm Irish book nerd.
and of course you're on Anne's channel. So, and yeah, today we are going to be doing the live show for The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak.
Yay!
So we'll start out with our spoiler-free thoughts first, and then we'll let you know when spoilers are coming. So if you haven't read it, you can go ahead and leave if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So, Anne, do you have any thoughts that you want to start us off with?
Well, first of all, I think we should talk about what rating we give the book.
Oh, that's a good idea. I gave it a 4.
Oh, wow, I gave it 5. So it's a lot better this time.
Yeah. I only didn't give it a 5 because I'm just not I'm not a huge historical fiction person. I'm trying to get more into other genres, but I just struggle with it. But yeah, so I still liked it. It's just not my genre.
Right, okay. Well, I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, historical fiction isn't really a huge thing that I read either, but this book really, really hit me. I'm a huge history nerd, so World War II is a big area of history that I really love. So this book just hit me in so many ways.
Yeah, I did get really emotional at times. It did amazingly with that.
Yeah. Did you cry?
I teared up. I didn't full out cry, but I got close.
Yeah, me too. I did cry, but I'm normally I don't book cry, but this one really, really got me because it's such a powerful topic and really important in our history too. So it's not just fiction, whereas this is actually a lot of it is true about what happened.
Yeah, that is I have a hard time remembering that, I think, when I read historical fiction. So I kind of have to step out of the book and be like, hey, this actually happened to people and you need to think about that.
Yeah.
So how did you like the characters? How did you think about?
I really enjoyed the characters, actually. I had a lot of thoughts on all of them. Although necessarily they're not, all of these people aren't good people. I felt like I really had a real good connection with them. And I just felt like all the relationships were really genuine that were created. Liesl was such a funny character. She was very, very strong-headed, very determined, very ready to kind of fight against everyone, which I really, really enjoyed. And Hans Huberman, that man, destroyed me.
Yeah, I did really like his character as he was so supportive of Liesl.
Yeah. I just love all the scenes where he was doing things with her and teaching her how to read and stuff like that. It was just so beautiful that even though she came into his life, he took her on and is yep, you're my daughter, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to protect you. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, it was. At first when I started the book, I was like, what is going on? I know I have heard places that it is narrated by Death, but I think I totally forgot about it when I went into it, and so I'm like, what's happening? And then I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, did you like that Death narrated it? What were your thoughts?
I think it was a really interesting take. Very third person, which is very different. Third person is generally how a lot of fiction is written, but this was just a really interesting take on death, experiencing human tragedy and actually trying to understand what's going on with human nature. And I thought it was a really interesting take. It was a very clever way of doing it, because during that time so many people did die, so it kind of adds that extra sort of layer to the story.
Yeah, it definitely fits.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the whole the idea of it, of it's just different. It's unique. It's something that makes it stand out from other books. In execution, I didn't like it quite as much. I think that my biggest problem with it is that I like reading first person.
Yeah.
And so it just makes it harder for me to connect with the characters a little bit because it was in third person. I mean,
Yeah.
I was able to like get there eventually. It just took me a little while.
Yeah. At the start, I was very like, am I actually going to like this book? But as I read and actually as I started to connect with the characters a little bit, like about maybe 100 or so pages into the story, I was like, okay, this book is like really got me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the narration with death, it kind of puts this wall up at the start where you're not really knowing the characters, you're not listening to their thoughts or like knowing what they're feeling in the situation. We're just being told what's happening. So yeah, it's just a thing that I think some people might not get along with. And I've read a lot of negative reviews, and I did see like that was a huge thing where no one could connect with the characters because of it. So
Yeah, like I said, I did have like trouble at first. Eventually I was like able to just get myself out of that, like I have such a secluded mind space of like I like a specific thing, and I'm like, you need to branch out, you need to like be open. So yeah. And also I think I was listening to it on audiobook. I think maybe if I had read it in like physically, it would have been a little easier.
Yeah. Well, I read it physically, and as you can see, I kind of really tabbed it up.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
so I
awesome.
really enjoyed my reading experience. But yeah, just two different ways of reading.
Yeah. I know audiobooks kind of saved my life because I've been really busy this month because I moved a couple days ago into like college. Yeah, so it's just been hectic, and so I didn't have time to just like sit down and read.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I still liked it. Obviously, I give it 4 stars. Like it was still good.
Yeah, it's still a really good rating.
Yes.
I felt like I think I gave it 5 stars more so because of the such emotional feel I had to it. Like it made me bawl my eyes out like twice. So when an author can do that, I feel like it's worth a 5 star if it can trigger such emotion from me. But yeah, 4 and 5 stars are great ratings.
I think I might like sit on my rating for a while and like ponder it before I like, because like I post on my like Instagram stories like my ratings from my books. I might like wait a couple days or something because I don't know, like I want to think about it some more.
Yeah, it is. It's such a hard topic to kind of you need that time to think and ponder and actually understand what it made you feel in that time. And that might take a little while for that to come through and be like, oh, wait, this actually really hit me harder than I thought it did.
Yeah. I can always tell when I like am thinking about a book days, weeks after I finished it. I'm like, yeah, that definitely was a great book.
Yeah.
I might give myself a couple more days just because like my rating might go up.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So do you have any other like spoiler-free thoughts you want to go over?
I don't think so. I think that just people who are kind of nervous going into it, they shouldn't be. It's a really simplistic kind of story. But yeah, I don't think I've any non-spoilery thoughts because like it's such a hard book to kind of talk about without spoiling things because there's so much that goes on within the story. It's spanned over like 4 or 5 years or something. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, a lot of questions that were brought forward in the story. So I don't think I have anything else to say on non-spoilery.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot like in there that because it's such an intense like story, and obviously like that time in the world was also very intense. Like it's hard to like not spoil things, like there's just so much going on. So I guess we will go into spoilery thoughts. So if you haven't read this book, if you don't want to be spoiled, you should click off and come back later when you have read it so you don't get spoiled. Okay. So we'll wait a couple more seconds. Ooh, I like the little scrolly thing.
Yeah, I just playing around here. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I know.
Okay, I think that's enough time for people to pop off.
Yep. Okay. So hopefully everybody who doesn't want to be spoiled has left. And let's dive into spoilers.
Hopefully.
Yep. You want to start, Anne?
Okay. I'm just mind blown. mind
Yeah.
blown. So many scenes that I really, really loved. So I just want to ask you, like, what sort of scenes really stood out to you? Because
Um,
I know a lot of them stood out to me.
let me like review my notes really quick.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So of course the scene like towards the end where Liesel finds out that everybody dies.
Mm.
Oh, that was an
Whoa.
intense scene.
It
I was
was.
that was the scene that almost made me cry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was such
Yeah.
a the only person in her town who survived, and just
Mhm.
because she was up writing in the basement that they were told that wouldn't protect anyone, and
Mhm.
like
Right?
everyone was asleep, and oh, it really hit me hard.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like weird because yeah, like they were told like you need to leave. This basement is not safe for the air raids,
Yeah,
and then it did save her. Like
yeah,
dramatic
I
irony.
I know.
And then the part where like she sees what's his name, Rudy, um, and like she kisses him, because he was
Yeah.
always.
Oh,
I know,
oh, that
I
was
know.
so hard.
Because she was like, he was like always trying to get her to kiss him, and like like she
Yeah.
wouldn't obviously, and then like
Yeah, and
when
then
she blew
as
it
she
up, I was
grew
like,
up, like she did realize that she actually might do love him. But
yeah,
again, she was only 14 at this stage. So is it really
mhm,
love? Is it just like this friendship sort of love? Is it just puppy
right,
love? But yeah, it was that scene.
yeah,
It
that,
broke me.
yeah. I was, oh my gosh, I was like, no, this,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, ah, I'm tearing.
Yeah,
um, your turn. What scenes made you?
well, those two scenes really got me,
Mhm,
but another scene that real hit me hard was towards the end where the Jews were walking through the town and she was looking for Max. And all
mhm,
of a sudden, Max was there and she started to walk with him and trying to, like, is it really you? Like, I was like,
mhm.
oh my God. And
Right.
like tears streaming down my face as like he was getting whipped and she got
Mhm.
hit. And it was just, it was such a
Yeah.
heart wrenching scene
Yeah.
that really, really stood out to me.
It was like bittersweet almost because like yes they're
Yeah.
together but also like there's just these awful like circumstances.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that scene
There was
was.
also a scene that I really liked where they were being bombed. Sorry, I'm just looking at the book if I'm looking down.
That's okay.
Um, where they're being bombed and Liesel is in the basement reading to people and she's like, how many have acted where was it? Did they deserve any better, these people? So she's actually wondering, do these people in the bunker actually deserve to be saved because they've actively hated Jews, they've actively stood with Hitler, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a really, really interesting scene where Liesel's actually questioning, do these technically innocent Germans deserve to be bombed because even though they stand beside Hitler, they're not standing up to Hitler to say, no, we don't disagree. So I thought that, are these people actually really innocent in the way that they treat the Jews during this time? So I just thought
Right.
that scene really stood out to me. But yeah, it was those scenes kind of really hit hard at me and made me actually think a lot. So
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of this like moral conundrum of like
yeah,
even though they haven't like physically done anything like completely like terrible, but they're still like siding kind of with people. And it's like you want to
yeah,
be on like the right side of history, like right versus wrong and that kind of
yeah,
thing. And sometimes when you're that close to the situation, it's hard to tell whether what you're doing is right or wrong. And
yeah,
I mean, like obviously, like us now, we like know that like what the Nazis did was wrong. But I bet you a lot of Nazis like didn't think that just because they're like so close to the situation. And plus,
yeah.
Hitler is such a good like speaker.
And we did even see it with Hans Huberman, even though he didn't agree with the Nazis, he still tried to join the Nazi party to get work, to protect
Yeah.
his family and things like that. So I've definitely, it gives you that kind of second opinion of, wait, were all these Nazis actually really that bad? Were they just following the crowd because they were scared and because they were like they were going to lose their jobs and their family was not going to be protected? And we did see when Hans Huberman gave the Jew this slice of bread, and he ended up having to go to war because he got on the wrong side of the Nazis in the town. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's definitely makes you think about, maybe not all the Nazis were actually bad. They were just doing what they had to do to survive,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which isn't actually.
that's something I like never even like thought about. Like, and when you brought it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, like yeah, like maybe they didn't agree with it, but they literally like couldn't do anything else. Like they had to because of
Yeah,
their situation, like to to protect their families, to have work, like they didn't have a choice almost.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing I didn't think about. Another like small scene that kind of like made me go like, oh, like the literature nerd inside of me, like the English major of me was like, that's good, like irony, you know, is the
Yeah,
part where Hans sent Max the key to the house in Mein Kampf, like
yeah,
like he said to save this Jew in the book that Hitler freaking wrote, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like irony, you know? Like
yeah.
it's
It was,
literally
yeah,
Hitler's life. Yeah.
yeah. Because when we saw that Hans was going to the Nazi corporation, wherever it is, and
Mm-hmm.
he gets the book, I was like, oh shit, is
Yeah.
he actually going to join the Nazis? And
Mm-hmm.
is this going to be like another plot
Right.
device? But then it turned out that he was sending it to Max to get Max here, which was, it was, I was like, oh, that's what happened. That's why he did it. I
Right.
thought he was actually like really going to try and join the Nazis to get more work and stuff. But yeah, it
Mhm.
was just a really clever way of doing it.
It definitely like subverted your expectations
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
And that was a great thing. Love that. Sorry, I'm still looking at my notes. I'm sorry,
that's
I'm
all
like
right.
looking away.
That's all right.
um Let me see here. Do you have any other like specific scenes you want to talk about, or should we talk more about like characters, or what do you?
I think we've talked enough about some scenes, but maybe we might come back to scenes if they pop into our heads. But we can move on to something else for now.
Okay. How did you like the end where, like, specifically where she gives Death, like, her life story, like, her book? And, you know, and he's like, humans confuse me.
Yeah, I thought it was a really important scene where Liesel is accepting death after all the death that she's experienced in her life and all the people that have passed away and were killed, etc. And the way he finds the book and he holds on to it for so many years, and he like, this story is, he feel the needs that he needs to tell it. And I just felt like that was really really special. And then when Lethal like accepts death and she's like, oh, you've had my book this whole time.
Mhm.
And even Death's like, you people confuse me. I thought it was kind of, it ended on a funny note, but it also
Mhm.
ended on a really important note too, that
Yeah.
humans are a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely fitting. One of my favorite parts about like all books is how they like wrap up the story, how they tie the ends together,
Yeah,
how like you like the like satisfaction of a conclusion. And it definitely met my like standards of a very
yeah,
good conclusion of a book.
yeah. It
So.
kind of gave you how she lived a happy life. She
Mm-hmm.
she moved away. She got a husband, had kids, had grandkids. She lived a full life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it just ended where she was, after losing everyone in her life, and we're just like, oh, is that the ending? Like, does she die? Does she get, do the Nazis
Mm-hmm.
come and try and take her away or whatever? It definitely gave me the satisfaction of the ending, and I just really enjoyed the ending because I got closure. I'm not going to be
Mm-hmm.
wondering about what actually happened to her because we know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you said you're spot on. You said exactly what I was thinking. Yep. Um, so how did you feel? I know you kind of mentioned earlier, like you thought Lisa was like a funny, like a great character, but like, did you have any like specific opinions about her, like her character arc or anything?
I thought it was really interesting how she actually became the book thief.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously she picked up that book as a reminder of her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Words interested her. It connected with me because she loves to read, she loves to write, she words give her power, which they really do. And it just had that whole intriguing thing of when she stole a book and when she started to read and when she started to learn how to write, it gave her power. It gave her power over her life, which was so intriguing. But yeah, I just thought her arc was really good because at the start she was real scared and she lost her brother. She didn't want to trust the Hubermans at all, and then slowly her like Hans really helped her open up. And then even the relationship with her mum was really interesting, even though Rosa was crazy and yelled at her all the time and did all these things. It really helped her grow. And I also found when Max first came to the house, she was terrified of him. He was a Jew in her house. She, like, this was not right. She knew it was wrong in a sense. But then as she slowly actually got to know him and realized, yeah, he's a Jew, but that doesn't mean anything. He's a part of my family now. I really loved seeing her kind of transform her thoughts to that. But yeah.
I really liked the whole, like, plot device type, the thing, because, like, usually when you read, like, historical fiction that are World War II, they're usually from, like, the Jews' perspective and, like, what they went through. And I like that it's not, like, Liesel's, like, outside of that, and it's, like, you get, like, the perspective of somebody seeing what's happening to the Jews and, like, and how that, like, can affect you even if you aren't Jewish.
Yeah, because she had to go to the German maiden school where they had to hail Hitler, and she saw the other end of it. And even throughout the story, we do see her, well, they're just Jews. It's a Jew. And she does throw that comment around, but it makes sense because she's only young. It's been, like, beaten into her that these Jews are criminals and they're horrible people and they're ruining Germany. So we do see that kind of conflict with her, whereas Max is in her house. She loves Max. They're, like, inseparable when they're at home, and then she has to go outside and pretend that Jews mean nothing to her, it was a really interesting take.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, oh gosh, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
That's right.
It's, like, good to see that, like, battle, like, inside of her, like, yeah, because essentially she's being, like, brainwashed into thinking that Jews are bad for Germany, but, like, also, you know, she knows Max. And it's nice to see that, like, inner battle type
conflict.
Conflict.
Yeah. And it's another thing that really got me about this book is that it kind of puts forth that Hitler used words to take over the world. Which, in theory, he kind of did. He brainwashed the German people to stand by his side, and he never took up a gun. He never threatened anyone to join him, or it was words. He brainwashed people. He made them believe that this is what actually is happening, not that.
It definitely, like, makes you think about how powerful public speaking is.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in a public speaking class, we did talk about Hitler, and, like, yeah, he was an awful person, but he was a great speaker.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, like, interesting.
Yeah.
That
when you do look at Hitler throughout history, he was one of the most clever men you could ever come across throughout history. He created all this stuff. He basically almost took over the world with his words, just from him going up in power and speaking and getting all these people riled up and realizing, oh yeah, it's the Jews' fault that we went to World War I and why we're poor, when in reality it wasn't. They decided to create World War I, which then when World War ended, hi Luna.
Hi.
Oh god, forgot what I was saying. But we do watch Hitler kind of rise to power, use his words, and then as he created an army, then violence incited. It wasn't guns out, guns blazing, killing people to get where he wanted to be. He rose to power with words, which was a really intriguing take on the book. So
yeah, well said. I liked we mentioned this earlier and I forgot to say it when we were talking about it, but like
Sorry.
Rosa, her like mom figure,
Yeah,
at first, like you're kind of like, I don't really like that character quite as much, or like you think she's like mean, you know,
yeah,
and but then like as it goes and like Rosa gets her that one book, what was it called? Word Shaker, and like you kind of just see like their like relationship grow, and
yeah,
like it's more like friendly, I guess. I don't know, because she
yeah.
at least.
It's like,
Mhm.
go on ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, to me, at first I was like, she's a mean mom, but like you definitely
Yeah,
like see that like change in the dynamic.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because I feel like Rosa did start off very aggressive and very
Yeah.
angry as a person, and then as they kind of built a relationship, although Rosa is still a very angry person,
Mhm.
her anger is sort of, it's not anger. So she called people arseholes all the time, but it was people who she cared about, which was, I
Right.
thought, was really intriguing. And although she yelled at Liza, but she did protect her. She did take care of her and made sure that everything was okay. And I
Mhm.
just felt like it's a very different dynamic, because generally the men are like that in fiction. So the men are
Right.
more the yelling, angry people. But Hans was he was the more,
He's a
I'm not going to
sweetheart.
say woman figure, but yeah, he was the sweetheart, and he
Yeah.
was portrayed as a really gentle soul, whereas women are normally portrayed that way, not men. So it was very different. Like, it was really cool to see the switch. So
Yep.
yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and watching the relationship grow. And even though it was still kind of strained, Liesel knew that her mom was there for her, and just everything. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was really sweet.
I thought it was interesting. It kind of gave me a more personal take. So Rosa actually like reminded me of one of my aunts, who's
Oh,
very like, she's kind of mean, but she's also like, she will take care of you. You can go
yeah,
to her. It's just like
yeah.
at first you're like, you're kind of scared of her.
Yeah,
So that allowed me to like connect more with the book too, because I like
yeah.
relate. Yeah.
What did you think about the relationship between Hans and Hans Jr.?
Um, it was good. It was definitely like a nice dynamic to see. Like they played it really well. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
make sure I
Um,
got stuck to the chair.
so I was thinking about the way Hans was against the Hitlers, but then Hans
Mm-hmm.
Jr.
Mm-hmm.
was for the Nazis, and he wanted to join the Nazis, and he was berating Hans for um, not joining and not stepping up and being the man that he's supposed to be in this world now. That Hans is like this old man who has all these
Mm-hmm.
old beliefs. I just thought it was really intriguing to see the kind of family dynamic of two
Mm-hmm.
people who believe different things. But yeah, I just thought that was a really intriguing topic.
I liked that like they had like opposing views, so you can like see like both sides and
Yeah,
like in their like discussions and stuff.
yeah.
It
And
like.
we kind of saw that the older Germans
Mm-hmm.
were more welcoming of all the people in the world, who all the people who lived in the country, like the Jews, they worked for their money. And we
Mm-hmm.
saw that Hans took care of the Jews throughout this story. And then we see that the young people who've been going through school and actually being in contact with Hitler's words more so than the old people, how brainwashed they became and believed
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
what was going on
definitely.
was,
Well, like your mind as a child is very like moldable, and so yeah,
yeah,
it makes sense that it affected the younger citizens who are like constantly being brainwashed.
yeah,
Um, just because like that's all they've ever known,
yeah,
and like older people, they can like remember how it was like
yeah,
before, and yeah,
yeah.
have like a more clear view of it.
Yeah, I just thought that was really intriguing, the different
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. Um, yeah.
Well, do we have any other like last minute thoughts?
Um, there's one last thing, that throughout the story we kind of get little sentences of things that they really hit deep, because
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly what it means. So where is it? Hold on, I have it in my notes somewhere. Where the scene where they're walking to school,
Mm-hmm.
and they come to the street of the yellow stars. Like
Mm-hmm.
that little sentence, like you're like, oh my God, you know exactly what they're talking about,
Yeah.
which is like, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. That sort of thing. I thought it was really, really cool. And I also, there's another thing that I want to talk about, how when Rudy blackfaces technically as Jesse Owens and runs around
Mhm.
the field, and his
Yeah.
father comes and he's like, what are you doing? You could get yourself in trouble. You have blonde hair and safe blue eyes.
Yeah.
That one word hit me so hard, because even these men who
Mhm.
are living in, they are not Jews, they are still terrified because they do not look like the typical German that Hitler wants it to be. And I
Mhm.
just thought that was really interesting, that and the scenes where Hans Huberman slaps Liesel across the face to make her realize that
Yeah.
you could get in trouble for stealing this book. You don't do this. Or when
Mhm.
he's like telling her about when Max first comes into the house, and she's like, if you tell anyone, me and your mother are going to disappear. They will take us away. And they're like trying to scare their children into realizing that they are in danger, even though they aren't Jews, which I
Mhm.
thought was really, really interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, it was definitely that point where you're talking about where Rudy's dad was like, he was safe blue eyes. I remember like thinking like, wow, it was like a good reminder, I guess, of like what they're living in, and
Yeah,
to people who like aren't Jewish, like, yeah,
yeah,
Rudy wouldn't know, or like he probably wouldn't remember as like how old were they, like 10, as a young
yeah,
child,
yeah,
like he wouldn't realize exactly like what's going on. And yeah, so it's like a good reminder when his dad said that, to like be like, Rudy, hey, you need to remember this, and like you're privileged, and remember that, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a privilege was definitely another thing that was kind of
Mhm.
commented on in the story. Like Liesel, even though she was poor, even though she was German, even though that she, yeah, she's poor and she doesn't have money, and she's like the bottom rung of the Germans,
Mhm.
she still has more privilege than the Jews, which was a
Right.
very interesting take as well. Like just showing that just because you're poor doesn't mean that you don't have privilege.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think
Oh,
that's all my thoughts.
one other thing I
Yeah,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
say, like, you were talking about how like there's certain like sentiments or like sentences throughout the story, like kind of like really like are really impactful. And one
Yeah,
that I remember specifically thinking about was when Liesel like realizes that books to her are like the accordion
yeah,
to Hans, like they're like there's her like safe place, her like go to like make her feel like calm,
yeah.
and like I relate.
Yeah, yeah, same. Like in the bunker, she turns to reading while the bombing is going on, and
Mhm.
in turn, that calms everyone down in the bunker, and they make
Mhm.
her actually make her want to read to them again. And every time they go to the bunker, then those words soothe them, and that reading that story really
Mhm.
calms them down and makes them like survive the night of the bombings and stuff like
Mhm.
that, which is really intriguing too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so anything else? Should we announce next month's book?
I think I'm good. Yeah, we can announce next month's book because Luna did comment asking about it.
Yes, we did. So guys, next month's book, we did do a vote, and so if you are not on our Instagram and Twitter, they will be linked down below. Make sure you go follow those, because that is where we vote for the books every month.
Yeah.
Um, and so the winner of the sorry, I don't remember what the author's name is, so I had to like bring it up. So
That's
the
right.
winner of the voting, so in September's book of the month, is going to be Spellbook of the Lost and Found by Moira Fowley Doyle. Hope I pronounced that right. I'm really excited for this book because I love the cover. Here, I'm going to show it.
Yeah, it's
No.
real stunning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
it
pretty.
looks really good.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about it too, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I can't even remember the synopsis, but it's supposed to be like contemporary, but have that little bit of the little bit of
Fantasy?
magical realism that adds to
Mhm.
it. So I thought that's going to be cool.
Yep. Also, I'm just looking at a quick synopsis. It does say that there's like some
Yeah,
mystery in it too. So
yeah. So that's going to be exciting.
yeah, I'm really excited. I've seen this book like all over, and I personally I don't like to read synopses before I go into books, so I never like looked super into it. But I always thought the
Yeah,
cover was gorgeous, and I was like, I really want to
yeah.
read that. So I'm really
And I'm
excited.
really intrigued too because it's supposed to be based in Ireland, which is obviously where I'm from. So I'm really excited to
Oh,
see how it's pictured and stuff. So that's going to be cool.
that's awesome. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you reading it physically?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be reading it physically. If
Okay.
well, probably will be because hopefully my work schedule has kind of slowed down a little bit more so I can actually get some more reading in because I only finished this yesterday. Like
Oh,
right before. So, yeah. I was like, I need to finish this before Thursday.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be reading either audiobook or ebook because I don't have a copy, but Libby does, so I have access to it that
Cool.
way. So
Sweet.
yeah, I don't know which way I'll read it yet, but one of those
That's
ways.
awesome. Cool. Well, I'm really, really excited for this one.
I know, me too. So we don't have the like live show date and time set yet, but we will update you guys when we figure it out. So yeah, make sure you are following our social medias because that is how we communicate with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Anne, you want to add?
Just thanks for joining and thanks for reading the book with us, and we'll see you next month.
Yep, we had so much fun talking with you guys, and I love being part of this book club.
Me too.
Yep. Oh, next month's live show will be on my channel, so make sure you go subscribe.
You
So
subscribe to her channel. It's all in the description box.
Yep. Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you all for joining us.
Bye.